Max wants to buy a McDonald's, and here's the first thing nobody tells you. You don't really buy a McDonald's. McDonald's decides whether to sell you one, and most people who apply never get past the interview. Today, the real franchise math on the most famous business on earth, why the burgers are almost beside the point, and what an owner actually keeps at the end of the year. First, understand what you're actually applying for. McDonald's is not really a burger company. It is one of the largest real estate empires on the planet that happens to sell burgers on its land. The company owns or controls the ground under most of its restaurants, and the franchisee, the person Max wants to become, pays them two ways forever: a royalty of about 4% of sales for the brand and the system, and rent, often 9 to 11% of sales for the building. Remember that stack. Roughly 15% of every dollar through the register goes to corporate before Max buys a single frozen fry. That's the machine. And it is a magnificent machine, because in exchange, Max gets the most reliable customer traffic in the history of food. Now, what it costs to get in. The franchise fee itself is small, $45,000, almost a rounding error. The real numbers. Buying or building a store runs $1.5 to $2.5 million, and McDonald's requires you to bring at least $500,000 of that in cash, liquid, not borrowed. This is the famous filter. They are not looking for the richest applicant. They are looking for operators, people who will stand in the kitchen at 6 a.m. But the $500,000 cash floor means Max cannot simply SBA loan his way in from zero. Most new owners buy an existing store from a retiring operator rather than building new, which is exactly the acquisition play this channel loves. Real sales history, trained crew, known numbers. Existing stores change hands quietly inside the system all the time, priced on their actual profits. And corporate has to bless every single transfer. So what does one store actually earn? The average American McDonald's does about $3.7 million a year in sales, the strongest average unit volume in fast food. Now run the honest waterfall. Food and paper cost about 30%. Crew wages and payroll, another 25 plus. The royalty and rent stack takes its 15. Utilities, insurance, the National Marketing Fund, repairs, and the thousand small costs of running a kitchen 16 hours a day take their share. And labor has only gotten more expensive every single year. What lands in the owner's pocket, after everything including the loan payments on the purchase, is typically $150,000 to $250,000 a year per store. Call it $200,000 on a good store. On a $2 million all-in price, that's roughly a 10% cash yield, plus the equity the loan quietly builds. Solid, not spectacular. The spectacular part comes later. Because here's the real McDonald's wealth ladder. Nobody stops at one. The first store proves you can run the system, and then McDonald's, which again chooses its owners, starts offering you more. The average franchisee ends up with several locations, and the math scales beautifully because one supervisor can watch 3 stores, one office does the books for 5, and the banks line up once you have a track record. 3 stores at $200,000 each is $600,000 a year. And the operators with 10 quietly clear 7 figures while wearing a name tag. That is the actual game. The first store is a job with equity. The 5th store is a fortune. But the landmines here are heavy, and they're written in the contract. 1. The term. A franchise agreement runs 20 years, and at the end, McDonald's decides whether you continue. You are never fully the owner. You are the operator of their asset, on their land, under their rules. 2. Mandatory capital. When corporate announces a remodel program, and they do every few years, you write the check. And modernizations have cost owners $500,000 plus per store, required, not optional. 3. The rent never sleeps. Sales dip, the percentage rent and royalty keep coming, and margin compression in a wage inflation year lands entirely on the owner, not on corporate. And 4. The approval process itself. Years of interviews, training in their kitchens for months, unpaid, before you're allowed to buy. This is the only deal in our series where the seller interviews you. And plenty of millionaires have been politely told no because they smelled like investors instead of operators. And for everyone whose eyebrows just went up at the $500,000 cash floor, The same playbook exists down market. Franchising is a spectrum. Sandwich and pizza brands start under $300,000 all in, and service franchises, cleaning, lawn care, home repair, start under $100,000. The unit economics are usually weaker than the golden arches. That's exactly why they're cheaper. But the structure is identical. Buy a proven system, follow it exactly. Stack locations. Buy the strongest system you can actually afford. Because in franchising, the brand's traffic is the product. You are buying customers who already decided to eat there before you ever owned it. A weak brand at a cheap price is just an expensive way to learn marketing. So here's the franchise playbook. McDonald's edition. Bring the cash floor and the humility. They pick operators, not investors. Buy an existing store from a retiring owner on its real numbers, not a new build on projections. Underwrite the 15% corporate stack and the remodel cycle before you count your profit. Run the first store like your life depends on the fry timer, because your expansion offers do. And corporate tracks every inspection score you post. Then climb. 1 store is a salary, 3 stores is wealth, 10 is a dynasty in a drive-thru. The burgers were never the point. The system is the asset. This is Acquisition Insider, showing you how the machine really works. Subscribe.